Hi everybody, AB and I are back to share another delicious recipe with you. Today we'll be making pork chops charcuterie, or some people say charcutiere.
Charcuterie.
Charcuterie.
Charcuterie. I got it.
Pork chop charcuterie is a classic French dish that I got from Julia Child, but I'm going to put a different spin on it. I'm going to take two of her recipes and combine them. So to get these pork chops as tender and as flavorful as possible, I'm going to use a marinade that she used for a different pork recipe and the charcuterie recipe. Now, I don't know if Julia Child would be impressed or if she would give me the stink eye.
She'll probably give you the stink eye.
But I'm going to do it anyway. So we're going to get started while I'm working on the pork chops, and B is going to be working on our side. We're going to do some garlic butter broccolini with some shallots. So I'm going to go ahead and get her started, and then we will get started on the pork chops. So we come over here, we've got some really pretty green broccolini here. And what she's gonna do is she's gonna put it in the boiling water. She's gonna wait until the water starts boiling and leave it in there for 6 minutes, only 6 minutes. And then she's gonna take it out. She's gonna fill this bowl with ice water. When she takes the broccolini out, she's gonna submerge it into this very, very cold water to shock it and stop the cooking process, because I want to keep that really pretty green color when we plate it. After that, she's going to take the broccolini. We've got some butter and garlic, chopped garlic or minced garlic here. We've got some shallots. She's going to put all of this in a pan and just kind of saute the broccolini. May need to add a little bit of salt and pepper, but these are shallots, so these are a little milder, some milder flavor than onions. So yeah, I really like working with shallots. So that's what we're gonna do. That's what Aunt B's gonna get started doing. I'm gonna put these in here while I get our pork chops going. I'm gonna wash off the marinade, and the marinade was made with 1.5 teaspoons of salt, 1/4 of a teaspoon of peppercorn, 1 thyme sprig, 1 bay leaf, a pinch of allspice, 1 garlic chopped. And then I put them in my food processor to blend it because I wanted to kind of grind it all together. And if you try this recipe and it doesn't, grind all up, it's okay, because you're going to wash off the marinade anyway. And when it's time to cook them, I'm just going to add just a sprinkle of salt, because the pork chops should be pretty flavorful. They've been marinating for about 7-8 hours. The other thing that you want to do with your chops is you want to make sure that they're good and dry before you sear them, because if you don't, it will prevent you from getting that beautiful caramelization that you want to get on your chops. So you want to dry them completely. That if they're moist, it'll really prevent you from getting that caramelization. The other thing you want to do is you want to bring them up to room temperature. So before you cook them, make sure you take them out of the refrigerator probably about 20 or 30 minutes before you're ready to cook them. We're gonna get our fire going here. And what we're going to do is wait until it starts smoking. Once it starts smoking, after we put the oil and the butter in, then you can put your meat in. So we've got 2 tablespoons of butter we're going to put in here. And we're going to eyeball it and put about a tablespoon of olive oil. So we're going to get our heat going here. And once it gets really hot and it's smoking, we will add our chops. So here I have a little combination of garlic powder, sea salt, and pepper. I'm not going to season them generously. I'm just going to sprinkle them with just a little bit because I don't want them to be too salty. We've got a side of mashed potatoes to go with this too, but I made those earlier.
So they gonna be tender, even though you didn't chop them up.
They're gonna be very tender. Trust me.
Yeah, trust you. All right.
They are going to be delicious. You're gonna be asking me, how did you get them so tender?
Okay.
It's the marinade.
All right.
This is a very simple, very easy dish. It is delicious. If you decide to try it, you will not be sorry. It will not disappoint. We want our oil and our butter to be really, really hot. Because when you put your chops in the oil and the butter, you want to hear that nice sizzle. It is so exciting to hear that nice sizzle.
The sizzling, nice sizzling when you chew it, put it in your mouth, start chewing.
That too.
That's what.
That too. Okay, we ready? All right, here we go. You hear that? That's what you want to hear. That's what you want to hear. Now, while that side is browning up, we want to leave them there. We don't want to touch them. You want to shake your pan. Make sure that they don't stick. But you want to go ahead and season the other side just a little bit, not a lot. Now, I'm just using garlic powder, salt, and black pepper. You can use the seasonings that you want. If you want to add some paprika or some chili powder, you can. Also, this is a pork dish, and this sauce goes well with pork. But if you don't eat pork, it's a delicious sauce. You can eat it with chicken. You can eat it with lamb. You can eat it with seafood, with shrimp. So if you don't, you're not a fan of pork, don't worry. This sauce marries well with a lot of different meat. We'll know when it's almost time to turn it over.
How will you know?
Well, there's something called coagulate, and it's gonna start coagulating right around here. We'll see
that brown stuff.
Yeah, well, it gets kind of white around here. And then that's an indication that it's ready for me to flip it. But I don't want to mess with it because I really want to get a nice dark color before I flip it over. And sometimes, people get anxious and they flip them too early. Yeah, so you want to kind of leave it alone so you can get that really nice crust that you're looking for. And then what we're going to do is we're going to flip them over and let it brown on the other side. And then we'll put them in our little oven-safe dish there. Mm-hmm. Put them in the oven until they get to an internal temperature of about 145, 150. We'll let them rest while I make the sauce.
Okay.
Always have a thermometer handy to check the temperature of your meat. Check the internal temperature of your meat. I'm gonna check to see what this looks like. Yeah, not quite. I want to get them a little bit darker. And then once we flip them, I'm going to add a couple of pieces of whole garlic in there just to flavor the oil a little bit more. And I'll try and rub a little bit of garlic on the meat. And then we'll baste it a little bit and put it in the oven and let it finish there. And that'll take about 8 minutes. It doesn't take long at all.
So now I need to hold this over there.
So you're gonna shock, yeah. So now you can move that up. Turn your fire on that. Probably a medium. Yeah. And then you're gonna pour your butter and your garlic in there and kind of move that around a little bit. Here's a spatula for you. Yeah, and let that melt. And then once it melts, put your shallots in there. Then add your broccolini and just kind of let it cook down. Now that, when you're cooking your broccolini in the butter, garlic, and shallot sauce, it's really up to you in terms of how long you cook them. It really depends on the texture you want. If you like crunchier vegetables, then you leave them. You wouldn't saute them as long. If you like them soft, then you saute them, a little bit longer. So that part is totally up to you and your preference.
So why can't you put more garlic? To have that garlic.
You can, if that's what you want, you can. The great thing about recipes is just like I combine, two of Julia's recipes, make these your own. Even this, what we're doing today, if you see something that we're doing that you don't really like or you want to do something different, make them your own. Yes, that's what we want. You see how pretty that is?
Mm-hmm.
Yes. You see that crust around there? So now I'm gonna add a couple of whole garlic pieces, garlic cloves, sorry. Now I want that other side to get kind of brown too before I put them in the oven. And I'm gonna baste them a little bit.
Oh, before you put this in there?
No, you're doing great.
Oh, this goes with this.
Yeah, that's right. Your side is great.
Oh, okay. You got the juice over there for that.
Exactly. Now what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna tilt my pan a little bit and I'm gonna baste these.
Baste it.
I'm gonna baste them. You see how I'm pouring this butter, olive oil mixture on top of these. This just adds more flavor, make them juicy on the inside.
So I put my zucchini in there?
Ma'am,
What?
that's not zucchini.
I mean,
It's broccolini.
broccoli. Put it in there.
Well, I would turn the fire up a little bit before you put them in. Once you see a little sizzle, then turn the fire down, put your broccolini in, and just kind of move it around a little bit. I'm going to take this garlic as best I can and kind of move it around on top here just to get more of that garlicky flavor on our chops. Now I'm going to remove them. I'm going to put them in this dish here, and I'm going to put them in the oven. I'm going to let them finish cooking in there. I'm going to move this for just a second. And this will take about 8 minutes. So I do want to keep my eye on it. I'm going to turn my fire down a little bit because I'm going to use all of this yummy goodness here to make our sauce. And all of the bits and pieces that are the residuals from your meat that's left at the bottom of your pan is called fond. And that fond is full of flavor. So we're going to put our tomatoes and our onions. And a little tip about the tomatoes is you want to peel them and you want to remove the seeds because the seeds will make your sauce a little bitter. So you want to remove the seeds.
And the zucchini look right? This is it.
You're determined to call it zucchini, huh?
This whatever.
So we're going to turn it down a little bit. Yeah, you can use your tongs and just kind of flip them over in there, making sure that they're all coated with the butter and the garlic and the shallots. Here's some salt and pepper. And now I'm going to add a tablespoon of white wine. And when you're cooking with wine, the trick to ensure your dish doesn't taste like wine is to cook it completely out so that it absorbs into whatever ingredient you have in your pan. So in this pan, I'm going to cook it out until the wine, until the onions and the tomatoes absorb all of that wine flavor. It's going to add another depth, another layer of flavor to this dish. But I don't want it to taste like wine. I don't want that flavor to be wine forward. So I'm gonna just wait and sort of.
That looks good
Already, right?
Yeah. I can put that on some peas. That'd be just as good.
Right. Some black-eyed peas or some purple whole peas.
Yeah.
So yeah. You see that wine is cooking out nicely. So now what I'm gonna do is I've got a little bit of flour that I'm gonna add because I want this to thicken up once I add the juice to it. I want it to thicken up because it's going to be a nice sauce for our pork chops. And when you cut your tomatoes, don't worry about whether they should be small or large. It doesn't matter because we're going to strain this sauce. And we're not going to have any of this in the sauce. It's going to be liquid.
So
you don't have to worry about
onion in it?
We're
not going to eat that?
We're not going to eat this.
Wow, that was good.
Now, some people cook this dish and they do add the tomatoes and the onions.
Yeah, that's what makes it good.
It will be in a little strainer so you can help yourself to it.
Girl, you don't know what's good.
But we're not gonna add it in our dish. But I did see someone who made it and they did include
the tomatoes in it.
They did. Now we're gonna add 1 cup of beef broth. This is another reason why you don't want to over season your pork chops because beef broth is pretty salty. I'm going to turn this down a little bit. I'm going to add 1 bay leaf, a couple of sprigs of thyme, and about a teaspoon of peppercorn. And we're just going to sweat this out so that we give the sauce time to pick up all of those great flavors. And then once we do that, we're going to strain it. I'm going to check on my pork chops here. They are done. So we're going to put those there and we're going to let those rest. But all of this juice that's in here, I'm going to pour this. See if I could do it without losing my pork chops. There we go.
I'm going to do like the famous chef. Shake it.
Shake it, shake it, shake it.
I shaked it over the floor.
So I'm going to taste my sauce here and see if it needs anything. That's good. I'm going to add a little bit of...
You want to see?
Yes, please.
I think I need to turn the fire off now.
So yes. Because you want some of that, yeah. You want to leave some of that juice in there. But they look great.
I'm just ready to get into that. What you got?
A few more things to add to this. This dish includes what's called cornichons, and they're like dill pickles, but they have a sweet note, a little spicy note to them too. But they're rather expensive, and if you don't want to go out and buy a jar of cornichons, especially if you don't like dill pickles, then my substitute would probably be apple cider vinegar. I love pickles and I love dill pickles. I'm not a fan of sweet pickles, but so these will get eaten. But if I didn't want to buy something that I'm not going to eat a lot of, and you're only going to use a teaspoon of the juice in this recipe, and then I julienne thinly sliced one of the pickles, I would just substitute with apple cider vinegar. Okay, so what we're going to do now is we're going to strain this. So remember you asked me a few minutes ago, the tomatoes and onions aren't going to be in the dish? They could be, but for the sake of showing our viewers how to make this, I'm going to strain it.
Okay.
But if you guys don't want to strain this, you don't have to. But if you choose not to strain it, I would grind up the peppercorn because you don't want those whole in your dish. And then I would just take out the bay leaf and take out the thyme and continue cooking this until it reduces a little bit more. But what I'm going to do is I'm going to pour it in my strainer here. And I'm going to return my pan to the stove because I'm going to add the liquid back to it. But I'm going to take my spatula and I'm going to press out as much of that juice as I possibly can get out of it. Look how beautiful that is. That's what you're looking for. Liquid gold. And then we're going to return the sauce back to our pan. And now we're going to add a teaspoon of Dijon mustard and 1 teaspoon of the cornichon juice and 1 tablespoon of butter. Once the butter has melted and the Dijon mustard has incorporated into your sauce, we're ready to plate up.
Oh, you're gonna put all that? Oh, okay.
Yes, yes, yes.
So you're gonna eat it all at one time. Everything going together.
And we're gonna add the charcuterie sauce on top. We're gonna top it with our
That's some pickles.
cornichon. These are the pickles. Do that, and then we're going to do this. Isn't that beautiful? And here we have it, everybody. Pork chops charcuterie. This is how we do it at Sandy's house. Thank you so much for joining B and I as we bring to you another delicious meal. We hope you enjoyed our show today. Bye.
Bye.
Cheese. Child, this is good.